Welcome to 12 Rows Back. We bring you footy from the fans' perspective. We are closing in on a third of the way through the year. Lot to talk about, lot to get through, Tom, as I welcome my co-host. Interesting
See you,
round of
Seb.
footy.
Absolutely. Not feeling good from the round of footy per se. Feeling good in this new 12 rows back T-shirt. It's finally good to join you and get in the bet there. But round seven, third of the year done. And as they say, the old round seven rule, you don't see too many teams dropping out of the eight from here. So have we got our? Well, I'm not saying we've got our top eight locked in, but geez, the majority might be already locked away at this point.
Are you trying to reassure yourself and fellow Saints supporters after that?
That is how I'm sleeping at night. So
Yep.
please let me hold on to that one. Nah, look, I had a look at the stats, or basically read Rowan Connolly's article on the topic. 1 to teams on average. Some years you get 4 max, but the majority of the teams that are in round 7 tend to hang around. So look, I'm sick of hearing the D's fans talking about their undefeated year. They're a lock, and you'd probably say Brisbane as well. But from there, who knows? So look, we learn more each week, and at this point, there's some good teams going around, Seb.
There's some good teams right up the top of the ladder. I was just going to mention, we'll be self-indulgent as we can.
Yep.
North Melbourne,
It's our show.
50-point loss, moved up in the ladder, so it's not all doom and gloom at the Roos.
Well, speaking of moving up the ladder, we also lost and have moved into the top 4. So, not a bad week on that front.
Yeah, no, amazing stuff. If you want to look for the silver lining. Now we're here to give some grades out, as we like to do, our very own unique university grades. Before we get there, Tom, it's Monday night as we record this, breaking the fourth wall. The Rising Star nominations come out.
Jeez, I thought
one guess who it
right
might
off
be,
the top.
given we're just opening with it, and it is my man, or your man, or everybody's man. He's a man of the people, Jason Horne-Francis.
Got there, the round 7 nomination. There you go.
Yeah.
It's an honest take here. Was it a collection of his first 7 rounds that got him over the line, or was it the game on Saturday?
No doubt it's his body of work. It's interesting. I've seen a few people critical that he didn't maybe deserve it this week. Not saying he doesn't deserve to be in the conversation, which sort of is. These people either haven't followed the sport or haven't followed this particular award, because it's always been a body of work style award. First couple of weeks you can bob up and get one just for a great game, but these kids who are playing really well but not necessarily having a 30-touch, 5-goal game out of the blue don't necessarily pull the nominations, but his numbers stack up with some of the best midfielders in the competition. Not Rising Stars, Tom.
Yeah, I was going to say competition.
So he's in Rising Stars, first in total clearances, first in stoppage clearances, first in centre clearances, first in contested possessions.
How's the research?
Second among Rising Stars in total inside 50s, fourth for kicks, fourth for total disposals, fifth for effective disposals, fifth in metres gained. Like, he's just up there in everything you want. Where's tackles? He's up there in tackles. Second in total tackles. Ninth in total marks inside 50s, but he starts in the middle. He's fourth in total bounces. And he opens every game for North in the middle. So his numbers stack up. That's in Rising Stars. He's ranked.
What about competition-wide? You got a couple there that you can hang your
his
hat
thing
on.
is his contested ball work. And the kid's 18. Like, Dacos is 19. Just fun fact.
There's one, Pies fans.
He's 30th in the competition for contested possessions per game. Competition, not Rising Stars, not 1 to 4 year players. Competition, and he's played every game. He is an out and out star.
Is he the favourite for this award now that he can legit win it now because he's got the nomination on the board? Is he halfway there?
No, Dacos is still heavy favourite. We don't really give a look into a guy like Rochelle because he's from Adelaide, or O'Driscoll from Perth, or Freo. They don't sort of. It's a Victorian award. The Victorian media probably gives it out, Tom.
Well, there's a fair few of them on the panels, let's be honest.
But he's going to have a breakout game at some point, and at that point his odds will come right in. The thing that I think people forget with his performance, they seem to like to remind me and North fans how terrible we are. And I understand. I get it. I've been, especially Carlton fans reminding us, it's like, yeah, I know how fun this is. I've done it for 15 years with your mob. Like, I get it. So, more power to you. But he's doing it in a terrible side. So, he must be damn good.
Yeah,
Most 18-year-olds who
that's
come in
where
like this don't get a look in. Like, they're just not able to do it. And he's dominating. He's a second-best midfielder.
This is great stuff, Seb, because there's not a whole lot of positivity around the Roos this year, but this is a little spark and there's a spring in your step just talking about him. So, look, if we have to bring him up every week to keep you going, let's do it. I'm keen.
Oh, you don't have to. I think I'll find plenty of ways to do it myself. But no, he's absolutely on fire, and it was just great to see. And if anyone's got a problem with it, get used to it. The kid's going to be winning awards.
I like it, Seb. How's that off the top? Great news for the Roos there. Well, let's get into the game. So, standard round, Friday to Sunday. It's back with a bit of shape. I know you'd enjoy that, Seb, but geez, I'll tell you what you wouldn't have enjoyed was Friday night. We talked about the floating fixture, and at the start of the year, they thought this one might get some sort of contest, but this was get your Friday movie on sort of stuff, wasn't it?
It was, Tom. It was.
Unless you're Richmond supporters out there.
Yeah, it was one for the Richmond fans. They love kicking someone when they're down Richmond, and that's exactly what this turned out to be. What do you say? Like, West Coast are travelling poorly.
Absolutely. I think, it was their first 100 loss in Perth since 2008. So, that was sort of that coming out of that Juddy era and little bit of a mini rebuild that they did there to sort of shape up in the later half of the decade. But I mean, I don't feel kicking them when they're down this week, the Eagles. I just feel they put themselves and their performances on prime time. So I guess if you didn't already know that they were going shockingly, you know now. It is super disappointing because they're not. We've joked about them being, Claremont or Peel Thunder or basically a waffle side, but they're just an unfit AFL side. I know they've had a lot of names come through, but there's still some great names out there. Kennedy kicked his 700th. Darling's still out there. McGovern was back. Tim Kelly's still running through the midfield. They've still got some big names. So, at home on a Friday night, 109 points. It was incredibly disappointing. So, you've got to send them to the coordinator. I know kicking them when they're down, I said I wouldn't do it, but you've got to send them to the coordinator for that just because of prime time. For the Tigers, I mean, when was the last time a bloke had 12 shots in a game? I'm thinking maybe Jeremy Cameron might have kicked a 7-5 for the Giants a couple of years ago, but Tom Lynch had
Tom, he had 7-5 last week.
Jeremy Cameron, geez, I need to double check the stats. I thought it was 7-4. Maybe I'm trying to go on a technicality, but Tom Lynch did what we probably thought he'd be doing for Richmond every week when he plays like that. It hasn't sort of been seen at that level for a while. Shea Bolton, Seb, he is an absolute jet, and he keeps getting better. They gave him a bit of freedom. He had 30 and kick 3. You got to give the Tigers a distinction. They didn't beat much, but they did. I'll give them a distinction for that. And they're back in the hunt. Their percentage went up like 20 points as well. So, good night for the Tigers.
Yeah, well, I guess it was. I watched this game and didn't really pay much attention. And at halftime, I just flicked over and put on a Liam Neeson film.
What'd you go with?
Highly recommend this to anyone watching a West Coast game. Just go and watch. He's actually one of my extended relatives. He's one of my cousins.
I can't believe it.
It was a film called The Ice Road. So he's got a younger brother with PTSD, and he's his mechanic, and they drive across basically an ice road. They have to get these parts out to a mining rig that's collapsed. And it's just thrilling non-stop from start to finish. Or it's just a Liam Neeson film where he's going to get there and win, and he punches a few dudes in the face along the way.
Sounds like Taken on Ice.
Yeah, and so I'm going to just really indulge in this detour. Any good Liam Neeson film can be described in about 4 or 5 words. Like, Liam Neeson, daughter kidnapped. Liam Neeson on a plane. Liam Neeson train. Liam Neeson kidnapped. Liam Neeson ice road.
Fair.
Like, you can just describe them in so few words. I gave that a 7 out of 10 on my IMDb account.
Brilliant.
Highly recommend. If you're looking for something to do in a West Coast game, go and watch a Liam Neeson film.
If we might need a little movie podcast shoot off, I think. I don't mind you getting some ratings out. We're digressing. What are you giving the Eagles for that one?
I still have to grade the Eagles. I watched the movie. I didn't watch the second half of the game. It was a coordinated job for the Eagles, and Richmond pass.
Yeah, look, I know I distinction them. Given the body of work we've seen, it probably stands up as a pass. I'm kind of thinking we almost need to regrade what we gave the Pies when they played. How did the Pies lose to this mob? Anyway,
I'll bump them up to a distinction just because it was north of 100. That's the bar. Like, you got to go north of 100 if you really want. Like, we got to reset our expectations for the Eagles.
Yeah,
they're no good. We know that. They're going to continue to be no good. We can't expect them to then go on and win or perform. It's just ludicrous, is what it is, Tom.
Fair.
Yeah, again, Liam Neeson, Ice Road.
There it is. Oh, well, let's move past Friday night because you gave Richmond a grade. The game of the round was the Saturday early game down in Geelong. I know certain people were in the President's lunch for this one. Massive occasion for Geelong. This is probably the best game they've had down there for years. And Freo came to play even minus a couple of stars, Seb. This was as a statement performance as you can get. And one of the Dockers' better home and away wins for a long time, maybe ever.
What do you mean by it was the biggest game to Geelong in a long time?
Well, I mean, they don't tend to. They might get one, maybe two a year when they play like a genuine top 4 team down there. They tend to somehow get the interstate teams that aren't flying. I know they played Melbourne late, but that was probably the biggest for a long time down there. I just feel they don't.
Swans there every year.
Well, I mean, the Swans have recovered in the last couple of years, but
I reckon they get plenty. I think you just wanted another chance to pot the Cats.
Well, look, I might have to dig into the archives, but in fact, I will. I'll dig out Cats playing another team in the top 4 down there over the last decade, and I'll come back to you next week.
You've got to remember, there's only 3 others in the top 4. Normally, they're one of them.
Well, that is true. Well, look, I'll dive into the history books to back up my statement, keeping me honest with the Cats. But no, it was a massive game. You can't argue that.
Oh, absolutely not. It was right in my wheelhouse, Tom. I sat down to watch this one. You want to watch a WA team? This is a team to watch. And Geelong did, and I still can't work this out. They got a fast start.
Yep, first
I'm not saying they
wasn't it?
always get a fast start. They always seem to be playing a quarter and a half of footy. And then something changes. And I can't believe it's just the other team figures them out. I just don't know what it is yet. But they kicked it was 5-2 at quarter time. They were in control. It was Freo down at Cardinia Park. You sort of thought, it's not going to get blown out, but this is going to sort of sit around here. And Freo just kept working and kicking goals, and Geelong couldn't move the ball against them. You would have seen this footage replayed 15,000 times of the ball being kicked out and Geelong switching back and switching across and doing it a couple of times. There was credit to Freo moving the ball and keeping it locked in and cutting off the Cats' options. But what impressed me about this win, and people were questioning whether Freo were legit, not me, people. They didn't get jumped like 6-0, but it was a fast start from the Cats. A few goals early. Freo got one. Cats got a couple more. Freo managed to hold their composure. Just take a deep breath and absorb it and then come back fighting. And then they got out by close to 3 goals towards the end of the game. The Cats pegged it back. It was a goal late, so really it was a 2-goal win. That goal sort of didn't matter in the end result. But it was just a really, really good all-round performance from the Dockers against a genuine side. People want to start now talking down Geelong. I've got to tell you, people can talk down everyone when they lose and talk everyone up when they win. Like, you got to have a level ground. And Geelong are a top 8 side. And at home, they're probably 3-goal better side. And Freo went there and took care of business.
Well, absolutely, and they did it without their number one ruckman, their captain for a start, and probably their key forward. So that gives it huge merit for me. Yeah, missing some massive names. Yes, I know Danger was missing for the Cats, but would you sort of say Fife and Danger out almost evens up, Seb?
It does. I think what the Cats are missing are strong midfielders. I think that's what's.
Well, I mean, that was obvious at the end where, the sort of last centre bounce, Cats coming, you had all the senior blokes in there as they have, because all their best players are the senior blokes at the Cats, and the Dockers have got some youth in there. I think they'd be envious of that situation. I'm sure the Cats would love to have a couple of gun sub-26-year-olds playing in their midfield for those big centre bounces.
Yep, you've just found another way to point out the Cats are old. Well done. Yeah, look, they would. But, I mean, Danger's out. Selwood's has a great game 1 out of 3, I reckon, now. It used to be every week.
He's down to that.
He's just getting on, and it's no disrespect.
He's had some solid numbers, though, this year, but maybe it's impact, I reckon, yeah.
Do you want to talk solid numbers? I think the Essendon game is coming a little bit later with the numbers.
Yeah,
just
fair.
Genuine, racking them up. Rubbish. Duncan's coming off an injury. Guthrie's regressed this year. He was playing really well last year. I don't know sort of what's happened. And you're right. There's not a whole lot coming through that we've seen. There could be a few hidden gems. He's very much Chris Scott. He loves his players. He's a players coach. He's going to live and die with this group. I know there are people out there, Geelong fans, who query why Dalhouse gets a game every week and Higgins gets a game every week. And sometimes they're the Medi sub, but they're thereabouts. And he's a players coach. The players love him, and he'll stand by his players 100% to the death is probably the wrong analogy, but he'll go down on a sinking ship, a la the Titanic. The captain stayed on. Chris Scott will go down with his players.
So are you saying that they are going down, though?
It looks like they're heading that way. They're going to play finals, but it's a drop-off from last year, and you can't see... At this stage, you can't see how they're jumping back up next year, but I'll probably have to sit down and really assess at the end of the year and see what they do list management-wise. I mean... they're going to reach a point. The thing they have is they have Tom Stewart and Jack Henry down back, who are young, good defenders.
Stewart was 41 over the weekend, just to pat the Cats on the back for something. I do give them something.
He should be captain next year. And you do have Jeremy Cameron, who 28.
Yeah,
is that around right?
Yeah, 28, maybe pushing 29. A rare goalless game, by the way. Got to give a shout out to Griffin Logue for keeping him. Well, he doesn't have too many goalless games, I'll say that. So that was an impressive effort.
The team defence down at Freo is huge, really working, and that the back three, there's 3 key defenders in Griffin, Luke Ryan. Who's the other one? Tom.
Pearce
Hanley. That's the one.
Yep.
No, Alex Pearce.
Yeah, Alex Pearce, yeah. I just thought you were taking the absolute, Pearce there and just calling him Pearce Hanley for
I started doing this, who's the other one? And in my head, I had Pearce Hanley, and I knew that was wrong. And then you said Pearce, and I'm like, Pearce Hanley.
I thought you were taking the, it's solid there. Brennan Cox, you probably throw him in. You said him, throw him into the mix. They're not flashy. They're just getting the job done. And they're smart. They just come together as a group, basically win the one-on-ones, and transfer over to support when needed. So it's just, it sounds so simple, but it's just bloody effective for them.
Yeah. So grades, Tom. High distinction for Freo.
No, yeah, absolutely. The highest of high distinctions. Probably this year's leading grade, to be fair.
Wow. Fail for the Cats.
Oh, yeah. I'm real tempted to send them to the coordinator, but I don't think Geelong fans will tune into this show if I go that hard.
It'd be stiff to send them the coordinator for a 3-point loss.
that's what's holding me back is the 3-point loss. Although you did say it was 2 goals, which it was, kind of like a certain granny that never got played. I've got to give one more shout out though to Blake Acres, who had the game of his life. I would have loved to have seen that in red, white, and black every week, but he can do it in purple now. The next game we've got, Seb, and I'm not sure how much you caught or how much our listening base caught, but it was a genuine let's hide a game. The Giants versus Adelaide, genuinely one for these two fan groups.
Yeah, very well hidden. Sort of actually the traditional 2:10 Saturday afternoon slot, which we never see. The Giants travelled over to Adelaide. Toby Green back in a bit of form.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It was a bit of a statement win from the Giants. Sort of
Yeah.
a lot of pressure on Leon Cameron coming into this, and they bounced out of the gates and ended up giving the Crows a bit of a shellacking in the traditional sense.
Bit of a reality check for the Crows. They've sort of won a couple on the trot and got the dogs and loving life, but they've come back down to earth against a hungry Giants side who really need to get the win. Look, genuinely hidden because throw in the time slot, but throw in being overshadowed by the game down at GMHBA. But I'm not sure if you saw the footage of Brodie Smith taking an absolute hanger and landing on his head instead of his feet. It is hard to watch. I'm hoping he's all good because he is great for Adelaide down back and one of their senior blokes that they need. Look, the Giants, I'll give them a distinction for this one. They sunk the boots in, made a statement. They didn't just go over and have a 4-goal win, which would have also been more than acceptable because a win is all they need at the time. But they've sunk the boots in and basically come away with a 10-goal win. Adelaide can have a fail. You just can't be losing. They're a young group, so a down week is passable, but not a 10-goal. So I'll fail them.
Yep, I'm with you on the distinction for the Giants. 11 goals to 2 at halftime. Game was done.
Yep.
Adelaide kicked a few late. Adelaide can see the coordinator. That was pretty poor performance.
You got to the coordinator.
Yeah. Look, you're at home. You're playing a hapless side. The Giants haven't fired a shot, and you come out and dish that up. That's a coordinator job every day of the week. Now, my issue with the Crows, and I love what they're doing. They're playing exciting footy. The ball's moving. They can't defend. So they're kicking goals, but they're leaking goals at the same time. So what they've been able to do is Tex Walker's kicking goals, Himmelberg. There's a few guys down there that are playing really well. But as soon as they stop kicking the goals, they're still not defending, and the Giants absolutely ran away with it. So it's a down week. You said it, young side, but you can't be losing by 10 goals at home. Like, you just can't.
No, well, they're trying to build that into a fortress, I guess. So, yeah, look, that's there. Good to see Jesse Hogan, by the way, coming back in. 3 goals, 3. I'm pretty sure he kicks. So, good to see him getting on the scoreboard. They need something that isn't Toby Green kicking goals in that forward line. So, if he can provide them a little bit of substance there, they'll go, I was going to say, a long way. Final's still questionable, but look, they can get back in that pack, and who knows. But, yeah, it's probably a little bit of a stretch from here.
Very questionable, I think, finals. Moving on, Twilight, Saturday, the Triple MCG, Hawthorn and Melbourne. Not your traditional of rivals.
No, I was going to say they probably only have the, they played in that famous prelim where Jim Steins ran over the mark. That's probably one of the famous incidents out of this rivalry. It's been a bit ugly, this one, actually, years gone past, because the Hawks have been flying and the Ds have been shocking. It is interesting seeing the roles reversed, although it's not a shocking Hawks team anymore, but it is a fantastic Ds team. Not used to the Melbourne. I'm still not used to Melbourne fans having a good side. I don't think they're handling it that well. The undefeated talk gets louder every week, and it's starting to bug me. It's from a bloke we know, Seb. He is leading the charge, but I digress. I'll give the Hawks a pat on the back off the top. They know how to kick a couple of goals to start a game. They jumped out of the blocks in this one, and I think they've done that multiple weeks. So you've got to love that. I guess this one kind of went to script. Yes, the Hawks jumped out, but the D's steadied, started to look like they could run away with it, and then the Hawks have just come late. Look, I'm not going to lie. I was more impressed with the Hawks than I was with the D's. So for the Hawks to, grit their teeth and get back into this one, I'll give them a pat on the back. They got, 1-6, I think it was, out of Gunston and Bruce. So they just found a way to produce goals even with those blokes off. Look, hugely commendable performance from them. And what can you say about the D's? I still feel like they're in first gear, just cruise control. They're big names: Gorn, Petrarca, Oliver, just getting the job done. So quiet game from Ed Langdon. That's rare. Maybe that's something for the D's to look at. But it was you could have almost caught the score after and not been too shocked, I reckon, with this one, Seb.
I was surprised the Hawks got so close. I big Hawk basher over here. I've been advocating them being terrible, so I didn't think they'd get that close. And the margin did get out. What did it get out to? It was just about 4 goals at 3/4 time, and Melbourne didn't actually kick a goal in the last quarter. They went home. Hawks unfortunately kicked 3 goals 4. It was 3 goals 4.
Yeah, 3 goals 4.
Just doing some very average maths in my head that didn't quite add up. I think you summed it up well. Melbourne are in second gear. I think so long as they've got Gorn, Petrarca, Oliver, May, and maybe Lever, maybe not. He hasn't. Lever obviously has missed a few this year. The team structure and team defence is going to be fine, and they're going to win games of footy against sort of that middle table sides. They're going to need more against the top sides. They're going to need probably less against some of the lesser known sides or lesser light sides in the competition. But you just love what they're doing. They're going about their business. It's all very quiet, hush hush. They play the Saints this weekend. I know, Tom. I'll have to bring that up at some point.
Thank you for that.
You'd expect Melbourne to go in as favourites and win that one. They're going to lose at some point. It's not about wins and losses for the season. It's about getting through healthy. Christian Petrarca did put an interesting thought out there when he said Max Gawn's the best to do it in the modern era. I can't think of any in the last 20 years. Best ruckman, that was. Not.
No, best ruckman. Dean Cox jumps up to mind. He was pretty outstanding.
They've got the same number of BNFs. He's one All-Australian jumper behind, which you'd think he gets this year. He was a premiership captain. I think he's gone past Dean Cox.
Big Sandy. Do you rate Sandy? I know he wasn't super around the grounds, but he was a great tap ruckman.
He was a tap wizard,
yeah.
Sandy. It's probably like Simon Madden is right up there. Corey McKernan holds a place in my heart because he won a Brownlow in my eyes, but
any way to bring that in. Well played, bringing that one in there. Look, he has serious claims. I mean, like we
he's
know,
got 3 or 4 years left in the tank. That's the thing.
Yeah. If there's another, if as soon as he gets another flag, it's locked and loaded. I reckon that probably really rounds out the resume. But I mean, another All-Australian wouldn't hurt either. Has he won a couple of BNFs? I might have to go into the books for that one.
3, I think.
3, yeah, okay. It's stacking up. It's definitely, he's putting together some sort of resume. So that's not an unfair statement.
Yep, I'm on board. Petrarca did qualify this and say, the best I've seen, which, if he's 24, you only really have to go back 15 sort of years for what he's seen, but you can't fault anything Big Maxi's doing. Grading, Tom. Should give a grade.
Yeah, we should after all that.
Pass for the D's. That's all
pass,
that was.
Pass for the D's, yeah,
probably want to fail them. You're harsh grader of the D's.
No, I was thinking of that because, they're meant to be the undefeatable side and they've only won by a couple of kicks, but past them, and I'll give the Hawks a distinction. They were I was impressed with them. You go into this game and this, we look, let's be honest, we make up the grades as we see fit, Seb. That's the beauty of the show. If you don't like it, send it in, 12rows@gmail.com. We will read it out. But I was more impressed with the Hawks. I just love what they did. No, they didn't get the win, but geez, they didn't do their club a disservice with that performance. So, Big Cozzy with 4 was the goal kicker I was trying to think of before. So, yeah, they can have a distinction for that one, and I'll give the Ds a pass.
Yeah, I'm happy to join you on those grades. A distinction, Hawks fans.
Oh, you
it's
sure?
The nicest thing I've said all year.
No, I like it, Seb. What do you want to get into first? Do you want to go up to Cairns or do you want to stay comfortable in Melbourne?
Did they start at the same time?
Well, they would have been close. We were 725. What was your game?
7:25. We'll
Oh,
go
there
the
it is.
Saints Port because that game finished first.
Well, it probably felt a lot longer, although I'm not sure as the losing side in that one for you and the other game said, but this was a long, long, hard slog. It was another game in Cairns that was hard to watch. It was another game in Cairns that we should have won. Uh, there's two arguments I could go with here. Well, not even arguments, 2 points of view, Seb. So I don't know which one you want to go first, but
Well, can I give a point?
Yeah, go for it.
How good's Port Adelaide winning 2 on the trot?
Yeah,
Their
they're
season's
back.
done, and they've had a big win against West Coast, found some form, and then they've beaten a top 4 side in St Kilda. Are they playing finals?
Geez, they've still got some work to do, but like we've said, they've been stiff in the games they have lost, so they just needed some luck and something to go right. I mean, imagine another
Hey,
1 point loss here, and then the season's cooked, but they've started to turn.
think about it. Dogs at home, very winnable.
Winnable.
North Melbourne in Tassie.
Lock that in.
I reckon North can win, but I'm going to say winnable for the sake of this exercise.
No, that's a sneaky one for you, boys.
Geelong, probably not.
Oh, down there in Geelong, yep. Sure.
And then, the Bombers, tick.
Oh, yep.
That's a win.
That.
And then they've got the
We
bye.
didn't even check where that one was. It doesn't matter.
It's in Adelaide. So they're going to. They should win 3 of their next 4. And what does that put them at? 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6. Not off the mark.
That's right. That could be one of those.
Get Charlie Dixon back.
That's all I'm saying. Sorry, I interrupted Saints talk. Sorry, you've got 2 things you want to say. 2 ways of looking at this game.
No. Thank you for
not
bringing
about
Port
the winning
Adelaide
team.
into it.
Thanks.
It was geez. Well, of course I'm going to come out with the Saints hat. The first angle though that it was our fault that we lost. It wasn't like we didn't have any opportunities to win. We kicked 4 goals 18. I think everyone's been throwing that stat at me. We kicked 3-3 and then we kicked 1 goal 15 after that. So it wasn't like we were pinging them from outside 50. These were genuine shots in front. Some of them 20 metres in front. So, yeah, you can blame Cairns and going up there. That's a separate thing. But we actually just didn't deserve the win because we had the opportunity to do it and we didn't take it. And it was... I mean, Gresham's been kicking goals. He was off. He kicked 3 points. Higgins and King can have their moments and they're, borderline All-Australian team at this point, but not if they keep this inconsistency up because they both have had inaccurate games that have really affected results. So, but it was a shocking spectacle to watch. It was like, Seb, 3s, 9-20, and you play with a bar of soap. The footy's not the new Sharon they get in the ones. We get the 3rd, 4th hand footy, and it becomes an absolute bar of soap. No one's clean. The only bloke that was clean out there, apart from Wanganeen Malira, who's going to be an absolute jet, was Robbie Gray. Should he have been playing in the game? Probably not, given he was subbed out the week before. That was a tactical one from the Power.
Tom.
He shouldn't have been out there. But he was playing with a dry ball, and that's the difference in these games, Seb. If you can have that star that can do the right things at the right times and get the job done, the word clutch comes to mind. He had it. He got the job done. We didn't have anything on our side that could match him in that area. So, no, they were plucky, Port Adelaide. It was a scrap, and they scrapped better. I mean, flip of the coin job, given it was a point the difference, 40 to 41 or 43 to 42 or whatever it was. I tend to ignore the score, but we just didn't have that player on the night. So full credit to Port Adelaide. We're one of a number of clubs that have to pay to... I mean, we get paid to sell our games to keep the money ticking in. I know your club does, Seb. We've seen Melbourne do it. We've seen Richmond do it. Just to name a few. We're still doing it. It might have cost us a win, so I hope we can sort of do a Richmond. They kind of moved on from this and decided to win games instead of selling them. So let's hope we get there because, it's not the best when we're building momentum and you have these close losses. They can come back to bite you at the end of the year. I'm going on tangent, Seb. You might need to wrap me up, but grade-wise...
I want to go back to a point you made about Robbie Gray not playing, which I understand.
Jeez, that feels like it was 10 minutes ago, that one, but yep.
Can I point out a player who should not have been playing in this game? In this particular game of all games, was not the game to play him. Like, what was the weather forecast coming in? Was it sunny?
Are you going to pot a certain 200 centimetre journeyman
My
right
word,
now?
I am. What in the world was Tom Campbell doing in this game? What impact did he have? He has kicked a point. He's one of your 18-point kickers.
I think everyone was getting involved with that.
But. Like, what is he like? Why do the coaches feel the need to play him when it was we know the games in Cairns at this time of year are weather conditions typically like that. I question why this was the week that was sold to go to Cairns. Like, look, there's got to be a better time of year.
I don't know. I can only say was Paddy right? I mean, he's had 2 weeks on the sideline. Whether they thought he'd be underdone after not playing at any level.
Mate, Carlton are in the 8. They're playing Jack Silvani against Todd Goldstein at Marvel.
Yeah, Look, I'm with you. We needed to go the
thing. Absolutely.
Josh Battle wasn't bad last week, but we needed to go the old Sean Green
Mason Wood on the wing. Just play him in the middle. He'll compete.
Yeah, well, I think he was in there at stages, funnily enough. I don't know how that works, that he was getting in there with a few ruck outs. Look, I'm with you, Seb. It was puzzling. I mean, he added height, and that's all I can say. That was
on a day where it wasn't really needed, in my humble opinion. But
I mean, does it put Rats in trouble, Seb? I know you can sniff blood out with a coach real quick. I mean, are there worries there for you from the coaching point of view?
Well, let's do a deep dive, shall we? It's not as deep as I made that sound. Melbourne, probably not going to win that, Tom. I'll let you believe what you want, but they've hidden at Mother's Day, Sunday 1:10, so that's sort of done. Geelong at Marvel. You need to win that one.
Absolutely.
You need to win that one. Where do you go next? Adelaide in Adelaide.
Yeah, not ideal. Hopefully, we get the version that just played the Giants. Well, it shouldn't matter, actually. I shouldn't say that. We should be able to beat them at home, surely.
And then North Melbourne at Marvel.
Well, we win that one.
You want to win that one, I'm telling you.
We would want to win that one. If we can't win that one, it's all over.
That could be the death of Rats. Jeez, we could put the nail in the coffin for Rats.
I know. I don't know why I'm encouraging this. I think he's doing a good job, to be honest. We're 5-2. It's not like we're down south of the ladder.
No, but that's what I'm saying. 5-3. You don't beat the Cats 5-4. You're going to play Adelaide. Probably 6-4. Probably 7-4. You should be 7-4 come round 11. And then what do? You have a week off. Then you go up to Brisbane. 7-5. Bombers at Marvel, 8-5. You just got to keep winning these games. You should be winning. Swans at the SCG.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
You just got to keep winning those games, and this was one of them, and you dropped it. That's where you.
That's completely right. I'm realistic. I know that these are the kind of games that could be the difference when there's that big pack in the middle of the ladder fighting for that spot in the 8. Well, we could have jumped ahead and we could be sitting 6th and away from all of that, maybe even pushing higher than that. So it was frustrating, I'll tell you that. It took a while. I'm still sizzling about this one, to be honest. I usually drop the sookiness and, feeling the loss reasonably quick.
You brought up Robbie Gray playing off an injury sub, so you clearly have not let any of that go. But we've got to grade it, Tom. We've got to grade it. So HD for the Saints?
No, they can... Oh, geez, I'll send them to the coordinator. They're off to the coordinator. Throw in, there's probably a bit of weight there in that we sold the game to Cairns. I'm sick of that. I'm probably annoyed that we're still in that position, so that's probably added to it. But 4 goals 18 in those conditions, I'm not even going to relate them to this. You just can't do that. You can't kick 4-18 and expect to win a game of footy. Off to the coordinator. There's one for the listeners and the viewers.
And the other team in the game.
And Port Adelaide can have a pass.
All right. You give no credit whatsoever. I'm also sending some kill to the coordinator because you can't kick 1 goal 15. Bad kicking's bad footy, Tom. Port Adelaide, HD.
HD. No, yeah. Now look
at Cairns. They've played a top 4 side, as I keep being told. Everything was against them. we want their coach sacked. They've played one good game against the Waffle
Well,
side.
you
keep
want their
pointing
coach
out,
sacked.
and they got the job done when it mattered. Robbie Gray again breaking hearts of the
How's he
Saints,
playing?
and I have to give a HD for it. I didn't expect them to get close. I couldn't believe the Saints were $1.65.
Nah, fair. No,
and
look.
just on the selling games to Cairns. So I love that we sell games to Tassie. I'm dirty about this. I know it needs to happen, but I'm dirty about the fact that they're bringing in a Tasmanian side because then that's going to go. I love it. It's a little fortress for us down there. We go down there 4 times a year. Selling a one-off to Cairns is a different story. But you're in that position because of that administration's decision to go to Seaford. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's where the blame goes. And I don't know enough about the board situation, but I would hope those heads have rolled, Tom.
Nah, I think they're long
They're
gone.
still there. They're gone?
They're long gone, yeah.
You're all right. You're going all right, Tom.
Nah, I appreciate that one.
You're not down there with the North and the Eagles and the Bombers of the world. So
It is a funny game. I mean, yeah, if it's a 1-point win, then you wouldn't hear me shutting up about us taking on the D's next week. It might have popped the bubble there. That's still a massive game, massive for the D's. Let's go to your game, Carlton North Melbourne. Now, I can't say that I saw a whole lot of this game, given what I was watching, but
you should have. It was much more entertaining.
Well, no, it was, and you blokes were in there for a half, I reckon.
Yeah, no. We came out. It's amazing what putting your best ruckman in the middle does. Cherry out, Goldstein in the middle. He was dominating. Carlton
He
missing a
loves
ruckman,
going
so
solo, doesn't he?
it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say this game was lost at the selection table. We had our Ben Mackay out. Harry Mackay played. So that's the logical matchup on its own. And then an hour before the game, Aiden Corrs out health and safety. We had no key defenders. So the two key forwards, Curnow and Mackay, kicked 7 between them. Could have easily been 10.
Who did you have on those blokes?
Aiden Bonner.
Oh,
Who played on...
Geez, he's well undersized at full back, isn't he? He's not. Is he 190? He's a tall midfielder, but he's no key position.
No, he would look very undersized. He was on Harry. I'm just trying to remember who went with Charlie.
You have down there Walker? Was he?
Yeah, it was Josh Walker.
Yeah.
Which surprised me because Walker can't move. He would have been better suited to Harry. But anyway, I was surprised they didn't get hold of us more. But we were in for the fight. We dug in the third quarter. Cripps just hits a superhero button and starts kicking goals and doing all these weird and wonderful things. And they just got away from us and they've won by 50 points. And I didn't expect us to get that much closer. I'm telling you, they're a genuine top 8 side. We're a genuine bottom of the ladder side. And they should have done what they did. They probably should have won by more given the key defender situation, but I mean, once you're out by 40, 50, it doesn't matter, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, you get it, you're winning by 50, you're putting some percentage on, you're moving on to next week. There were some positives for the Roos. Obviously, we've mentioned the Hornet off the top. He got right into Jack Silvani and he was just frustrated that the team was going terribly. It was nothing more than that.
That's good, though. You want to see that from him, don't you? That he's got those competitive juices.
That's all I wanted to see from my captain in round 2 when we lost by 100 points against Brisbane, but he didn't get a touch till midway through the second quarter.
Some weekly Zeeble jab. It's back.
A kid playing in his 7th game going at the opposition because he's so frustrated. And then you got Simpkin in the middle. They're the 2 leaders of the club. I thought we might be able to find a few more goals than what we did, but that is what it is. Here's the thing. I don't know how long Cherry's out for, but he's going to come back in, and then we cannot keep playing Goldie as the forward. If they want to stick with this Cherry thing, Goldie's got to not play on our side, unfortunately. It's really sad to say, but that's just the reality of where we are at.
Look, like I said, didn't catch a whole lot watching the other game. Caught what I've caught. Nick Larkey might be the luckiest footballer in our game right now that he only got 1 week for that tunnelling incident. He should have got minimum 4, Seb. That was one of the lower acts I've seen on a footy field in a long time.
Was it?
Yep. bloke whistle had gone, so it's a dead ball. Lewis Young going up for a mark, and he's
Wait,
deliberately
wait.
shoved him under it, and he could have landed on his neck. Are you telling me that was worth 1
It's
week?
a dead ball, and the Carlton player's flying for a mark. You cannot stop at the whistle, Tom. There's this thing called advantage, and you have to keep playing after it. That's just a fact.
Okay, so even put that to the side, which you probably shouldn't, but he still shoved him under the ball and taken his legs out. It wasn't the subtle tunnelling that we have seen, which is still a free kick anyway, but it was a genuine frustrated shove, and he's lucky he didn't land on his neck.
You want 4 weeks for that?
Minimum.
Wow.
Take your ruse hat off.
No, I thought he should have got a week, maybe two. Like, it was a dirty act. It was dumb. It was out of frustration, which doesn't matter, but it's not a 4-weeker, Tom.
Oh, I just don't know. We're trying to get, certain acts out of our game. You'd think that that'd be high on the list, is trying to stop blokes landing on their heads from blokes shoving them while they can't control themselves in the air. I didn't like it, Seb. I'm bitter. I thought Larky was better than that. So I'm disappointed in him for taking his frustration out in that way. But I think he's a very lucky player to only be missing one game.
Yeah. Hey, you barely touched him. That's a fact. He didn't do any damage. It wasn't a good look. He shouldn't have done it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I can't see it ever being 4 weeks for that. If they do make it 4 weeks, it'll be out of the game. But if that was 4 weeks, that'd get appealed instantly and he'd get off. So I think putting it to 1 to 2, you sort of accept it and move on and tell Larky you're in peanut, pull your head in.
You're lucky, yeah.
We're going over to Perth with no key forwards now. We're going great.
Oh, have you got Dockers next week? Maybe they're due for a down week, so could be your chance. Grading-wise, probably should take your grades first, but look, I'll pass the Blues and I'll pass the Roos. Double pass, I reckon, for me. But you saw more of the match than me. What do you reckon?
Double pass, maybe fail the Roos. I don't know where I'll sort of land on it. I'll sit at double pass because that's what I expected. I could not believe the line was 26.5 points before the game. Money for Jam. Wow. Money for Jam.
Absolutely. Well, let's head to the Saturday game, early game. Suns, Pies, and look, I don't know why I get seduced by the Suns at times. I thought they were more than a sneaky chance in this one. They beat the Pies there last year, and you tend to see teams have a post-Anzac Day lull. If the Suns have turned the corner, they give this one more than the shake that they did, don't they, Seb?
Yeah, they do. But see, I don't think the Suns have turned any corner. I just think they're just travelling along how we all sort of thought they would, and they're just waiting to see what Clarko's doing. Look, it was a little bit of a hidden game, not one you sort of tune into, Collingwood Gold Coast by any stretch of the imagination. Did you know one of the goal umpires? Can you confirm that was
our man,
a loyal listener?
Real close lookalike, but I don't know if he's climbed the rungs that high. I feel like he needs a few more games at the Rovers 2s before we get up to the AFL standard. So help us out, Zach. But very, very close lookalike, that one.
All right. I just had to ask. Collingwood were good, but there are a lot of goals kicked in this game. Would you say it was a little bruise-free?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Suns, we saw them come to Melbourne a few weeks ago, and they only sort of kicked 9 to 10. This one was a lot looser. The Pies are happy to play that way as well. Like I said, post-Anzac Day, this is ideal.
They love just getting the cheap ones around the side.
Jack Crisp, he had another great game. He's an unbelievable. We always say he's the steak knives in those dealings with Brisbane. He has turned into a real great player, and he had another great one. But yeah, look, it was bruise free and probably a fitting game for the time slot, I would say, Seb. Although I do like this time slot for footy, but given the round and the structure of the round, it was, like you said, pretty hidden and bruise free.
Yeah, no, this was the one you miss. Having said that, I did watch sort of the first half. Levi Casbolt, very good for the Suns.
Yeah,
he's been an important sort of link man in the sense of ideally that'd be Ben King, but he's not around. So 8 shots on goal, pretty sort of impressive. Maya Czech, clearly one of the all-time steals in the draft, brought in as a defender. Ginnivan doing great things. Kane Corns has copied his hairstyle, which is just absolutely fantastic. And look, it was. Sorry, I've spoken enough about this game with the Suns. Like, they draw in irrelevant.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That one, the Pies. It's probably your classic double pass, maybe a fail for the Suns. Actually, pass the Pies and fail the Suns.
I'd pass them. The Saints are the Saints. The Pies are sitting right there in the 8, and the Suns are travelling down here. Turned up, had a go. Weren't good enough, as per usual. See you later. Whoever you play next week, it'll be on Fox, and we move on.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
Think they'd get a Channel 7 game, would they, the Suns?
Oh no! I mean, if they are the 3:20 on a Sunday, they would get it, but I don't think they find themselves in that slot too often. This next game, Essendon versus the Dogs, all kinds of repercussions for the loser, and it's the Bombers on the receiving end of this one. So we're talking about teams being locked into the top 8 at this point. Well, there's not too many teams that are 1 and 6 and come back from there. I mean, there have been teams to do it, but you can count them on one hand. So that just sort of shows you how statistically rare it is. So,
but if they win this week, they'll be 2 and 6, and they made the finals from 2 and 6 last year. Tom, can't you see that?
Well, yeah, you're talking to me like I'm not understanding how a Bombers fan mind works, or the Bombers fans that we know how their mind works. But
say they don't really work, but
I walked into that. Well, what did you make of this one, Sid?
Well, these are 2 teams and 2 midfields that love getting the cheapies. That's bread and butter. We just get a cheapie here, we handball here, cheapie. So I think it's Essendon, the Dogs, and there's one other team.
They're just like racking up insane numbers. Well, they're both teams you could say probably have a midfield of 10 to 12 when there might be...
I can't remember off the top of my head, but these are certainly 2 of them that are just serial offenders and that they rack it up but are not hurting the opposition. And like the Dogs won, they got the job done. Again, high scoring, 103 to 71. So Essendon can find a way to score goals, but they can't stop them. And I think the confusing thing for Bombers fans will be like Ben Rutten really couldn't do much with the footy in hand, but was just that defender. Big, strong backman. Didn't give an inch. Big fists. And then you've got the way they play, and he preached defence when he came to the club.
Yeah, I know. That's
just
why
non-existent at the minute. It is just non-existent.
I think we said it last week. Like all year, we've been picking their forward line apart. How are they going to kick goals? But it is, it's just down the other end that they can't stop them, and that's sort of what was the trap with when they had Matty Knights. They were all about attack, and they never learnt the defence in that era. And then they obviously, we know what happened. We don't want to go into all of that with the Bombers, but you'd think that. Yeah, it's sort of the old model, Roosy's model, basically, when he tried to fix the Ds. You build the defence first and then you build your attack out from there. It's a pretty common sort of build in our game. I'm shocked that, at this point in their, I guess, build, if you want to call it that, now it's regressed. It's disappointing to see.
Yeah, look, it is a common style way of building, but if it doesn't work and you... Bolton for years for Carlton. Great defence, but couldn't score themselves. Fans hate it, so you got to be careful with that. But look, the Dog season is alive and ticking, but I just don't think they're going to be able to threaten without. They need another key forward down there, and they probably need a key defender. I mean, Peter Wright still kicked 4 goals, and he's been a little bit up and down. But
he loves playing against them in Marvel.
I was going to say under the roof. But a lot of empty numbers, and I'm going to show you something, Tom. I wish I had this prepared, but I'm just going to do a little old classic.
The old heat map.
Zachy Merritt's heat map. Now, for those listening, you clearly cannot see this, But it's the Telstra tracker. He's had 36 disposals at 78% efficiency. What do you reckon? That is 35 of them behind from the centre square and backwards.
Wow. So for the listeners out there, this heat map,
5 of them are ahead of the centre circle. So it's all defence. There are probably a lot of cheap handballs, cheap kicks. He racks it up. And he goes at a nice high percentage, so we get told he's a great user of the footy. But what's he doing? He's not hurting anyone. Lots of players. This is why Dacos he's having a great year for the Pies, but it's a smart way to bring him in. Just get him down back, get him using the ball, get him confident, and he'll start building. I think it was Xavier Ellis was saying Sammy Mitchell was the best kick he ever played with, but he only went at close to 50% by foot, because he used to try and really bite off more than he could chew and damage the opponents. Whereas some of these guys are getting high percentage numbers, but they ain't hurting them. And I think the Bombers midfield is probably the number one offenders of run hard, get the ball, work hard just to get the ball. And when you don't have the ball, well, someone else has got to run. Now I worked hard to get the ball, and no one wants to run hard. They're in a world of hurt, and I think the worst thing that happened for them last year was that run of games at the end of the year to play a final where they got belted. If they don't win those games, they don't put their list in this point, and then they might do something about it. But they thought they were in with a shot, and clearly they're cooked.
There it is. I like it. Putting the line through them. Look, that's fair. I mean, look, I was thinking the exact same thing about season 2020 and 21 with my Saints. You can do that. That's the trap. I mean, how many times have we sort of seen Carlton threaten to break out and only just get going? So, yeah, we said this was the worry with the Bombers, and it's coming to life. Back on the game for the Dogs, love the performance of Josh Dunkley, which again is a little ironic because he's probably another one of those accumulators that the Bombers were after. They were heavy into him in the trade period. He would have been a genuine clone of this player that we're talking, and they just dropped one. They dropped Shield. So these are the kind of decisions. Could they have brought something, point of difference, or use those draft picks more wisely? They're the kind of questions we're asking of Dodoro, in that it's probably not bad training and he's not a bad player, but are they building lists to actually not just make finals, but win finals? That's the question. Love seeing Mitchie Wallace back for the Dogs, actually. I think he gives them something. He's been in and out he's been out of the team, to be honest, but back in, and he took his chance. So I think they leave him there because, I'm with you, Seb. They do need those options, and they've got to have that variety. So he's got to come back. Cody Waitman, who's got no shortage of admirers from the Bombers. He popped up as well.
No one in the league likes Cody Waitman.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm with you on that. He is the new Valentine Milne role. Love the game of Tom Cutler. There's one for you, Bombers. He's come alive, but he probably isn't that model of play we're talking about. We could keep going through it, Seb. Let's get into a grade. I'm going to give the Dogs a pass feels unders, but I'm going to pass them because I expected them to get the job done, and I'll fail the Bombers because, every week their season's on the line basically, but this was an opportunity. The Dogs weren't flying, and they've failed the test, so they're a fail for me. What do you reckon?
Yep, it's a pass for the Dogs. A win, season alive, ticking along. The Bombers, the coordinator for me.
There it is.
Rolled up and did the same rubbish, the same running around, and they didn't win, and a lot of finger pointing. They need to come out and show they stand for something and do something different at some stage. It will be, the supporters will be very, very antsy if Carlton get a hold of them in that Friday night clash for that floating fixture that was brought forward. So that's their 150th year celebration night. And exactly. If Carlton get a hold of them, that could turn ugly. They can still salvage something out of the season, but finals, big no.
There it is, Bombers fans. If you don't like it, send us an email, send us a question, send us a message on Instagram. We will read it out, but we're happy to hear your thoughts. Let's get down to it. probably had claims for game of the round, Seb, and we're talking about games getting hidden. Well, 440 is the genuine hiding spot for games, but this one didn't deserve it. This was an absolute ripping contest. I know we've talked about, like the Suns Pies game being sort of 90 to 115. Well, this game was 89 to 113, but my God, it was high quality footy from start to finish. Two teams that'll be pushing, if not in the top four, later on in the year, I reckon.
Yeah, they're both going to be around the mark, it feels. It was a bit of a dire contest for the first quarter. One goal, 3 apiece at quarter time. The Lions started to really get hold of things in the third quarter, banged on 6 of their own, and it looked a little bit dire for Sydney, I have to say. But, buddy,
yep.
What more do we need to say? That's not said. He's kicked 4 third quarter goals and got them back to within a kick. And the Lions, like, to their credit, Buddy's kicked 4. They sort of steadied, slowed down, and kept put their foot back on the gas. And it was still 4 goals at 3-quarter time, and then 5 goals apiece in the last quarter. It was back and forth. There were some good individual performances. Darcy Gardner now has claims to an VFL, AFL record, Tom.
Yeah, what has he gone?
He's the first player ever to kick 12 straight for his first 12 goals. So 12 goals without a miss. No player's ever done more than 11.
Yeah, I saw that one. Big Darcy Ford, I think it was.
I've given it to the defender, sorry. Yes, Darcy Ford.
No, but he overtook... Yeah, I know, he overtook Fitzy. That's how I know about that one. He was complaining because I think he was 11 straight. But fair effort from the big fella, and they celebrated that one. Love the work of Cam Rayner said, but he's one of those cogs that we were like, if Lions can get them back, then they can really add to that firepower. Hipwood's the other one, and they'll probably need him sooner rather than later, actually, with Big Joe sort of tweaking a shoulder in this one. It'll be interesting to see what they do there. They might need more out of your man, Darcy Gardner, there. Actually, I'm probably thinking of McStay there. They do look very similar, the two of them, but they'll need to find new avenues to goal if they can't get Joey up. The midfield for the Lions, just getting it done. I know we've talked about accumulating, and I know Lachie Neale is in that mode, Seb. I think you could say of, those Essendon accumulators, and he does get a lot of ball, and there is a lot of out the back, but geez, he can actually hurt you. He is the version of that can be lethal on a football field. McCluggage is...
Tom, let's just go back to Lachie Neale. Now, there's a heat map. All of them in and around the middle, a few bound back and a few forward, and he's kicked a goal.
Yeah.
So
there it is.
It's a very different game. Also want to point out, he's had 37. I think Merritt had 37. He's had 26 contested. Merritt had 7 contested. Like, they're completely different games, but 37 touches each. Like, it just goes to show that's a Brownlow medal winner and a cheap ball winner.
There it is. That's a great example there. I'd take my hat off if I was wearing one. McCluggage, got to give him a shout out, Seb. I love his work. He just keeps finding it and keeps just he's just one of those players I reckon you'd love to coach. He just goes out and does the right thing with the ball and gets it to the right spots, puts his head over it. I know there are a lot of footy cliches there, but he is an absolute ripper.
Yeah, they'd love him within those 4 walls, I think.
Yeah, he has probably claims for captaincy down the line, to be fair. And again, I've loving his work. I was about to pot Andy McGrath, but I thought I'd ease up on the Bombers potting there because they were the same draft, and I think McCluggage is at a different level. Zorko, huge game too. So look, so much to like for the Lions. I mean,
disappointing for the Swans though.
Yeah, well, it's interesting for me with these two teams because they're both great teams and they're awesome on their day, but I feel like sometimes you don't fully trust the Lions. Like, I have worries for the Lions if they play the Ds at the G. That one's a tough one. Sydney are similar. They can win on their day, but they might have a day where, the Roos almost pip them or something just doesn't go right. So it's probably like Port Adelaide a few years ago. They're not doing anything wrong, but there's just a slight mistrust. So this was an interesting game from that point of view because it was like, if the Lions lose this one, well, this is why we don't trust them. And for the Swans, they lost it, and this is why we don't trust them. So I'm feeling more comfortable with the Lions after this one, but I still have that slight worry. I don't know. It's still niggles for these two teams, I reckon, Seb.
Yeah, it. I think naturally we feel this way until teams prove themselves.
Yeah.
It takes not so much a brave person, but you got to sort of look into it and work out why the teams are going to take the next step, which I haven't admittedly done myself as to why I think Brisbane might, but something's telling me Brisbane are going to be the challenger for Melbourne. And they are right in that Port Adelaide mould. We're not worried if they win 16, 17 games in the home and away season this year. We need to see performances in finals, especially at home, where they've played a few and not got the job done. So there's still definitely some mistrust. I mean, the Swans, how many games do you think they would have lost when Buddy's kicked 6?
Yeah, I know. Few and far between.
It's only about 6 or 7 or 8 or something. He's kicked 6 quite a few times when I looked at it. But if you say you're going to get, you're playing Brisbane, all right, it's a tough game, but you're going to get 6 out of Lance. You're going to go, all right, well, we're a chance here. And they sort of were, but Brisbane held them at bay quite a bit. So it's interesting to see where both teams go from here. But they're top 4 sides. I'm pretty convinced on that. Sydney are going to be borderline if they drop games like this at home. They're going to have to win. I think 15. You have to win 16 this year to get in, I think, because you've got Melbourne as sort of almost a lock, and Freo is starting to become a lock because they're 7-1 now, Tom.
Yeah, I know.
I've given them this Friday, but they're 7-1.
That's what you do, string the wins, yep.
In terms of a grade, the Lions are getting a HD.
Yep, with you on that. That's the lock.
The Swans are getting a pass. I still think they played well enough for a pass. I tipped the Lions. I didn't think the Swans would win.
Yeah, I'm going to fail the Swans. Yeah. I did think they had chances here.
Fail them. Fail. Yep.
You've played, I guess, I'm trying to think of a game I played. Computer game, video game. I'm thinking maybe Mario Kart. Buddy, kicking 6 is kind of going through one of those... rainbow boxes, and you get something good, and you're not going to lose this track because you've got that boost. So they just disappointed me because, like you said, there's not too many games they lose when he kicks 6. It's their card, their get out of trouble card. So, most teams, Buddy kicking 6 gets the job done. But I just fail them because of that. Even with him kicking 6, the get out of jail free card, the blue shell, whatever you want to call it. No, not the blue shell. What's the star? It hasn't helped him. That analogy really didn't play out how I wanted it to. I was just going to
say, I need to know from listeners what was better, my tangent on movies or Tom's tangent on video games? I need to know because I don't think either were great.
We could sharpen up on that. We talk footy, that's what we're about. But I've got to fail the Swans for that one. But look, they'll come back, and like we've said, this is a top 4 clash. So I'm hoping they play again this year because it was great to watch from quarter time onwards.
Yeah, yep, no doubt at all. That's 9 games, Tom.
Jeez,
it's a bit.
I like the Friday to Sunday, Seb. You might be.
I'm onto something.
You might be onto something.
How long have we got? Probably not long. They need to do a radical fixturing change. 1 marquee game Friday night. I reckon 4 games Saturday afternoon. 4 or 5 Saturday. Wait, how many? We need 9.
So you're thinking load up the
4 Saturday afternoon, 1 Saturday twilight, 1 Saturday night, and then 1 marquee on Sunday.
Go big on the Sunday.
Yep.
Jeez, I don't mind it. I wouldn't. I'm thinking. I like it. I'm thinking you might need to go 2 on the Sunday, maybe 1. Yeah, 2 on the Sunday because I think you can sort of spread the games out and get basically Sunday afternoon, even with 2 games. But I do like loading up the Saturday.
Load up the Saturday. No one can watch them all. Like, no one does it properly, except us in the media. We sort of watch it
goes without saying.
But they've got to get over this fear of them overlapping. Like, don't play 4 Melbourne teams at once, but have a game in Perth and a game in Adelaide and a game in Sydney. Like, they can all overlap because your viewer base isn't crossing over. Like, it's just logical.
Well, Saturday's overlap anyway, so it's already happening. They've just, I
Yeah.
don't mind it, Seb. Go in overdrive. I mean, it does appeal to probably the footy of our youth. I know probably in your early days going to the footy, it was exciting sort of seeing scores coming up around the grounds as you were watching the game wherever you were. For me, it was cold Waverley. Trying to work out the bloody code they had in the record because it wasn't just the teams. They got a letter. That was the way they used to do it. But
That's right.
yeah, it was going. That's going a long way back, but it's exciting. I've actually thought I still wish one day we'd get something similar to the Premier League, where all the games are at once and there's results flying around live. That's just an unbelievable spectacle for me. Even like last year, you sort of picture that the Lions West Coast game where it was down to literally the final point. Well, imagine if that's happening at the same time the other game's happening. It'd be mayhem. So I don't mind your idea, Seb. We'll start with that in the rounds and we'll go the full hog at the end of the year. But I'm with you on stacking the games.
Every week for me. I think that's it, Tom. Appreciate your time. And viewers,
good to be back visually.
Please write in. We need some mailbags. We need some questions asked. Am I too biased on the Hornet? Tell me. Do I hate Essendon enough? Tell me. I don't hate Essendon. I do, but I think you think the club needs to really reset and look at. It's not the coaches and the players at this point. It's coming from further up, a bit Carlton style.
There it is. Let us know, Bombers fans, and we'll see you in the next step.
Yeah, please end it. I'm going to keep making fun of Essendon.
Yeah, I know.